What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be talking about Camp Twilight. So this is a movie that I have seen before. I've seen it one time before a couple years ago, and this is a Felissa Rose movie, and it also stars Dave Sheridan, and that's what initially interested me in the movie, was the fact that it starred Felissa Rose, and in addition to starring in the movie, on Rotten Tomatoes, Felissa Rose is actually credited as co-writing the movie, and in the opening credits of the movie, I I don't know if I'm remembering this exactly correct, but I thought in the opening credits of this movie she was credited as a co-producer as well. So um, the fact that Felissa Rose starred in this and she was involved behind the camera initially interested me, and I was like, hey, I want to check this out. So that's why I initially checked it out a couple years ago, and I haven't checked it out since, and the summer rolled around once again, so I'm checking out some summer themed movies. So I thought, what the heck, let me check out Camp Twilight. And this, it's not necessarily a summer camp movie. They kind of go to a more of like a campground, but what the heck, I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna break the rules. Don't tell the YouTube gods. I don't want to get demonetized, even though I'm not monetized yet. But just please, just don't let them know. Don't let the YouTube CEO see this, and I'll lose all my credibility. They're like, he's doing a he's doing a he's saying he's doing a summer camp movie, and this is a summer movie, but it's actually just a campground, and it takes place at the end of the school year, so the timeline's ruined. There's the continuity's off. It makes no sense. I'm just joking, but anyways, yeah, that's why I'm a Felissa Rose fan. That's why I initially checked this out, and upon rewatching it, I was a fan of this. Granted, it's not a good movie. Like, it's not a good movie by any means. Like, objectively speaking, this movie is it's bad. But just talking about enjoyment, I enjoyed this movie. I don't know. I wasn't bored. I didn't feel like falling asleep. There was quite a few things that I liked, and I went in, even the first time I watched that, I went in knowing this is going to be a very low budget effort, and I'm the type of guy, like, I watch all these really low budget horror movies, B horror movies, direct to video movies, stuff like that. So I kind of went in knowing what it was, judged it for what it was, and you know I don't know. I thought it was a decent movie. I had a decent time, and maybe people who watch like normal movies would think this is like the worst movie ever, but me personally, being a horror fan, a fan of lower budget kind of indie horror, and a big fan of Felissa Rose, and I'm a fan of Dave Sheridan as well. I thought this was good. So the basic plot summary is, you have this group of seniors in high school, and they're all some simpletons. They're some stupid dummies. They have terrible grades, and they're barely gonna be, like, they're not gonna be able to graduate. They're gonna be super seniors, and their teacher, Jessica Bloom, played by Felissa Rose, she gives them a proposition. She's like, you know what, guys, you're a bunch of stupid dummies. You're incompetent fools, but all right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe you're not that stupid. I'll give you one last shot. If you go on this, weekend camp out trip with, it's like a weekend camp out trip with no technology allowed. If you go on that, I'll give you extra credit, and you'll have your grades will then be good enough where you can graduate and you won't have to be super seniors. Because some of these kids, they have scholarships, blah blah blah. And I mean, who wants to go to high school extra year? Like, high school was fun, but it's not that fun. Where you kind of want to move on after and start your life. So they all go on this camping trip. Well, it's not really camping. I'll just call it camp out because they're pretty much at like a state park. But they go on this little camp out trip, and they're like they're reluctant to go because it's no technology and it's like a school thing. But they gotta pass. They gotta graduate high school, so they go on this trip, and there's a legend surrounding this state park and this campsite, this camp area, where there was like a killer there. There's this legend of a killer, and once all these kids are there, they start getting killed off by a killer who's wearing just like a black hoodie, like a black cloth around their face, and some really nice athletic shoes. The killer in this looked very silly. Too fresh and clean in my opinion. Like the killer had the like these like brand new athletic shoes that they were like running shoes. Like, at least give the killer some like crusty boots or something. But yeah, the killer in this looked so gosh darn silly. They put no creativity into the look of the killer, but what are you gonna do? I don't know, that kind of added to the fun. So anyways, that's the basic plot summary. First point that I want to get into is, like I said, on Rotten Tomatoes it says that Felissa Rose co-wrote this movie and co-produced, and I think from watching the opening credits, I think she co-produced it as well. But I was just thinking, like, okay, so a lot of the performances in this movie are pretty bad, but except like Felissa Rose is great in this. She was really good. I loved her performance. Dave Sheridan, he was fantastic, super funny. But yeah, like most like a lot of the other adult characters are not good. But I thought that the teenagers, even though their acting wasn't the best, I feel like they felt like real teenagers. Like the back and forth between the teenagers, even though their delivery wasn't the best, like they weren't the best actors, like all their dialogue felt like real teenagers, and like teenagers nowadays. Like sometimes in movies, like teenagers just have like the corniest dialogue, and you're like, teenagers would never in a million years talk like that. I thought the teenagers felt really real in this movie, and I liked all the teenage characters in this. I thought they were fun. Like, I liked following them, and I was just thinking, like, since Felissa Rose co-wrote this, I feel like she had like a heavy hand in writing all the dialogue for the teenagers, because she's a parent herself, and around the time this movie came out, this was like 4 years ago or whatever. I don't know how old her kids are, but I feel like her kids were probably teenagers around the time this movie came out. So she, I feel like, or even if her kids aren't teenagers, like she knows how kids nowadays talk just because she has kids. So when I saw that she had a writing credit, I feel like she had a heavy hand in writing all the dialogue for the teenagers. And if she did, if my hypothesis is correct, I mean, she killed it. These kids felt very real, very believable. So, shouts out to Felissa Rose just for even co-writing and producing this. Like, I think it's cool. Like, she's living the dream, Even in the Sleepaway Camp documentary, she's talking about, like, Sleepaway Camp gave me a life, Like, she was in this movie way back in the day, and now I think she does movies full time. Like, of course, her husband works too, but I think she does movies, and she does conventions too. That's like a good supplement. But I think she does all this stuff full time, and it's cool that in addition to doing these acting gigs, she's doing like a lot behind the camera as well. So she's living the dream. She's killing it, living her best life. Shouts out to Felissa Rose. Moving on, I mentioned that I thought Dave Sheridan was really funny. I mean, in pretty much all these movies where you have Felissa Rose and Dave Sheridan, he always kills it. You know, the main reason I check out all these movies that they're in together is because I'm a big Felissa Rose fan, but since I've been, watching these movies over the years, I'm becoming like a really big Dave Sheridan fan as well. I think he's fantastic, super funny, and he always goes hard, has a great performance. So he was super funny in this, and I thought it was kind of neat that he was playing like a cop-like character. He wasn't really a cop, he was just like a park ranger, but he was pretty much a cop. And in the first Scary Movie, he played Special Officer Doofy, who was a cop and a parody of Dewey from Scream. And then in this other movie that he's in with Felissa Rose called Bloody Summer Camp, I'm pretty sure he played a cop in that too, and he was kind of like this like bumbling idiot cop. That's what he was like, kind of like this bumbling idiot cop in this, and he was like into all these conspiracy theories, and he was kind of a goofball and super likable, super funny. Moving into the kills, the kills in this were terrible, but they were kind of funny because every kill in this, like, someone gets stabbed in like the stomach or the back and you don't really see it, but you just see them like spit out a bunch of blood every single kill. And like the first couple times you're just like, okay, like, they're really going for this spitting out blood thing. Like, hey, more power to them. Hey, that's whatever floats your boat, whatever you're into. That's I guess that's a cool effect. But then like once you get to the end of the movie and you're like, yo, literally every kill is just someone spitting out blood. Like, it becomes so funny towards the end. It's like some jokes are like funny solely because they're like so repetitive. Like the fact that the kills are so repetitive and it's just people spitting out blood the whole time, like it becomes so funny. Like towards the end of the movie, I was just like when one of the last people gets killed, I'm like, yo, this fool's really just spitting out blood again. That's the last kill. Like, it was pretty darn funny. So yeah, the kills were not good, but they were kind of funny because they're so repetitive. And I thought Dave Sheridan's character, Ranger Bob, his kill was decent because he was getting like hacked to death with I believe it was like a machete, but you didn't really see it. It was kind of a cutaway, but he's all like bloodied up after, and he had to spit out blood, of course. I mean, that's the requirement when you sign up for this movie. They're like, you gotta spit out blood when we kill you. Like, everyone has to. Like, that's our aesthetic, that's our style. Spitting out blood, that's what we do here, okay? So yeah, he spit out blood, of course, but his whole body was bloodied and he got like totally butchered and hacked to death. So his kill was like a standout, was like a highlight. Speaking of like kind of like so bad it's good stuff, there's these two characters in this. Miss Monique, played by Tracy Lear, and Mr. Flanagan, played by Skylar Lear. I'm not hating on these people, but just in my opinion, like, these two people were like some of the worst actors I've ever seen in my entire life. But all of their interactions together were really funny, but just all of their dialogue in general, anytime they opened their mouth, it was absolutely hilarious. And it was like so bad it was good. The guy, Mr. Flanagan, he's like this, like really handsome guy. Like, they almost like reminded me of like a Ken and Barbie vibe, because the woman, she was like this bleach blonde who had like crazy plastic surgery, and the one gentleman, he was like this super buff guy, totally like perfect Sigma male jawline. And yeah, they reminded me of like Ken and Barbie. They were these like perfect looking California people, but the one guy, Mr. Flanagan, he was so like over the top with his delivery. He was like, what are you doing? I forgot all of his dialogue, but like towards the the end of the movie, when he finds out like all these people have died, he's like, "Those are my people. Those are my kids. What are you doing?" I don't know if I'm doing it justice, but yeah, those two actors were straight terrible, but in the best way, and they were so funny. I'm not hating on them. You know that, hey, they're in a movie and I'm not. I'm some asshole, sitting at my house recording a video. Like, they're in a cool movie with Dave Sheridan and Felissa Rose. So like they're living it up. They're living the dream. Like, being in a movie that's the dream. So I'm not hating on them, but I kind of am. But yeah, their acting was bad, but hey, they're in a movie. I'm not. They're living it up. And then what else? What other points did I write down? Oh yeah, Linnea Quigley makes a cameo in this. I mean, she's a horror icon. So it was kind of like a blink and you miss it scene. Well, I mean, a little bit more than that, but she was only in the movie for like a couple minutes. But I mean, I'm a fan of Linnea Quigley as well, so it was cool to see her. She was only on screen for like 2 minutes, so I mean, it's not like she had that much to do, but I always like seeing her pop up in anything, so it was awesome to see her once again. I thought the setting was pretty good, even though it wasn't like a summer camp. It was this like campground at a park. You had like a lot of nature, a lot of forestry. There was a lot of really cool overhead shots, like drone shots. So I thought the setting and some of the cinematography was pretty good. And then yeah, that's like the last thing I wrote down. But just the one thing that I just remembered is something that I thought was kind of neat as well, is the fact that the girls at like one point, like a couple of the high school girls at one point earlier in the movie, I think they're having like a sleepover or something. They're at someone's house and they're watching a movie on their laptop, and the movie that they're watching is Caesar and Otto's Summer Camp Massacre, which Felissa Rose is in as well. And all of those Caesar and Otto movies, those movies are like super low budget as well, but I've like a fun time with them. There's like 3 of them. I've seen all 3, and I just thought that was kind of cool that they were like watching that movie. Like, I don't know, it's like an obscure thing, but it's like in the whole like Felissa Rose universe, and they're watching it. So I thought that was cool. But anyways, that was my last point. So I'm gonna get into my recommendation and head out. So, even though like objectively speaking, this is a bad movie, I don't know. I liked it. I was not bored at all during it. I liked the setting. You had some beautiful like forestry. It was a nice campground setting. I thought all the teens were like very believable. Felissa Rose was fantastic in this. Dave Sheridan was fantastic in this. Some of the intentional comedy, like the comedy that was supposed to be funny, was good. There was also some, unintentionally funny stuff. So, me personally, just in my opinion, I think this is a decent little movie, and I would recommend it, especially if you are a Felissa Rose fan. This is a good little, fun little movie to watch in the summertime, and Felissa Rose got to do her thing, got to co-write and produce. So, I think it's definitely worth checking out if you are a Felissa Rose fan. So that has been my review. That has been my recommendation, and this has been my review of Camp Twilight. Thank you all very much for watching, and peace out.